Good morning, everyone. My name is Timothy Lee Grant, and today we are going to be talking about pointers. And now, pointers are one of the most scary concepts that beginner programmers encounter. I remember when I first saw them, it threw me for a loop. I couldn't understand what they were doing, how they worked, and I couldn't actually apply them effectively. And even worse, I later on realized that actually, in addition to pointers being kind of difficult to understand just naturally, they're a little bit unintuitive, I had some concepts that were mixed up, which made it even more difficult for me to actually understand what was going on with pointers. So hopefully with this video, I can introduce you to the topic. I can show you how they work and how you can use them a little bit, and also I can clear up some of these misconceptions that I had when I was first learning how to do programming. So let's just start it off and talk about how to declare a pointer. So here it is, right here. You have some type, right? An integer, a float, a char, unsigned long, right? You have some declaration, and then right next to it, you have a star, and then the variable name. Okay, so when you see that star, all of a sudden you say, hold up, okay? If there is a star in a declaration, this means it is a pointer variable, okay? If this star is with the declaration, it is a pointer variable. That is what this star is meaning in this context. And this is one of those things that threw me when I was first learning to do programming, because this star doesn't have only one meaning. It actually has two. There's two of them. So the first one is when you see it in a declaration. So I am declaring this variable p. So actually this is one entity. It is a unit. It is declaring this variable to be a pointer, okay? When you see a declaration with a star, you say, hold up, I know what's going on. We have a pointer variable on our hands, okay? And now this int right here, don't worry about that too much right now, okay? We'll get to it, but all you need to know for right now is in a declaration, when you are declaring a variable, if you see a star in the declaration, you know you have a pointer on your hands. All right. So now, what is a pointer? Like what actually does it do? Okay. So a pointer points to an address in memory. That's what it does. That's its job. So here we have p. So this is our pointer variable, right? This is a variable. Here it is, right? And now inside of this value right here, we have an address, okay? Now, what we want to do is align this address with some variable. So I want this pointer to point to this address. And why would we want to do that? Well, we'll see that in a little bit. But let's say that this memory address right here, these 4 bytes, contain an integer value, and let's just call it var. So var lives right here. Here's var. It lives right here, starting at 1000. So what I want to do is I want to put this address 1000 right here, okay? So what is a pointer value or variable? A pointer variable has a number in it, okay? It is a variable right here that has a number in it. What is this number? This number is the number which a certain variable lives at. It is an address in memory, okay? We have a pointer, which is a variable, and this variable contains an address of memory. It could have been 1004. We didn't initialize anything yet, but we could put 1004 right there. Okay, nothing is stopping us because it's just a memory address, right? But we have this var variable that we declared somewhere else in our code, and it lives at 1000. Okay, so how do we actually put this address, this 1000, in the p pointer variable? We do that with another operand. So in pointers, there are two operands. Address of operand, dereference operand. This one, this star, and this star have different meanings, okay? Different. That confused me. So we'll get to this in a little bit. Let's talk about this address of operator. Okay, so what it does is it returns the address of a specific variable. So we declared this p. Let's declare a different one. So int var, and then we can initialize it to 900, right? Okay, cool. Boom. There we go. So we have a variable. Now this variable, var, is going to live somewhere in memory. And let's just say that the computer decided to assign it 1000. It's going to be some random number like 21,518, right? But for the sake of example, it's a lot easier just to say 1000. So during this, bam, it put this 900 in here, and it just lives at the address 1000. Okay, so now what we can do is we do p equals address of var. Okay, so now we have an assignment operator, right? We have equals, so p equals. Okay, so here's p, and what goes inside of p? Address of var. So what happens with this address of operator? It takes this variable, it finds the address, it finds the location in memory that this variable lives in, and returns the address. Okay? So what's going to happen when this line of code is ran? It's going to look for var. Bam! I found it. Here it is. Well, where does var live at? It lives at 1000. Okay? So return 1000. So what's going to happen is this is going to evaluate. This right here is going to evaluate to 1000, and then it's going to be assigned to the variable p. So here's p. It's a variable. It holds some value. 1000 lives in there. There it is. Okay, so now we have a variable which contains 1000, and it points to var. So this is what we mean by points to. It points to the memory address which var is located at. Okay, now why did we say int? Why during this declaration of p, we say, okay, well, a variable just got declared, and I see that this right here has a star, which means it's a special declaration? Well, it means that it is a pointer. And what type of pointer? What is going to live at the memory address which this variable contains? Well, it's going to be an integer, right? So var is an integer, and we put an integer here, and that's why we have int, okay? We could have said we could have float star, okay? And then this one would not be a var, would not be an integer. It would have to be a float, okay? But it's just easier if we have int right here because we need to choose something. So we said that that we want the variable which is going to be stored in a memory location that we're going to point to, we want it to be an integer. So that's all it means. That pointer is a variable, okay? Inside the variable is going to be a memory address. At this memory address is going to be a variable of type integer, okay? So here is a location in memory, and you can almost think about it as a house, right? Inside this house, you go inside, and what's inside? It's an address. It's a number, which is the address of a variable. Okay, so then if you go to the other house where this address is, what's going to be in that house? Well, it's going to be an integer. That's the idea, okay? All right, so now what is a way that we can actually get what var is? We assign 900 in here, right? So, okay, 900. All right, there's 900. So how do I actually get that 900 and maybe even change var, right? Var. Well, that's where that star operator comes in. So when you see a declaration with the star, that means a special kind of variable, which is a pointer variable. When you see something like this, p star equals 200. When you see an assignment, or if you see this star in any other context besides a declaration, what does this mean? It means take whatever value that this address is pointing to and assign it something, okay? So what does it do? Let's do it over here. So we have this dereference operator. What it's going to do is it is going to go to P, it's going to look at the address, and then it's going to go to the address. So that star means go to the address, which is at this pointer value. Go to the address and get it, okay? So now, this address, we are going to assign 200. Okay? So this actually changes the value. This can change the value, and that's very helpful if you want to be able to, for example, pass by reference into a different function, or if you, for some reason, want to access this variable in a different way, or there's a whole bunch of different reasons. If you know about structs or classes or any of that, you can have pointers to the struct, and then you can access it from multiple different locations. So that's why you would want to use it, and they're used all over the place. So now, what if I want to return the value? So there's 200 there. let me just change var. So I can go var equals 300, right? And now this is going to be 300. What if I want to get the value? Okay, well then you can do like int var2 equals p. What do you think is going to happen if I do this? P. Well, p is just a variable, and it contains the address. That's what it contains, an address. So this is going to assign var2 an address, which is not really what we want. We use that dereference operator again, okay? Then it goes to the address which is inside of p and returns that value. So now var2 is going to be 300, okay? So another thing that you can kind of do with pointers is you can actually do math on them. So if I do, so let me just get this declaration, equals address of var, okay? So here's a common declaration that you'll see. Int star, this is 1 unit. Sometimes people will put the star next to the p here, and they'll do something like this, int, and then like that, equals. I don't like that really, personally, because I like the idea that this is one entity. It is a declaration, a pointer declaration, and that pointer is of type int. That's what it means. A lot of people like to do it this way. I don't really like to do it that way just because I don't think it's very consistent and I don't think it's accurate, but some people do. Anyways, so now what can we do with this? We can do p plus plus. Now p has a value in it, 1000. So what do you think is going to happen when you do a plus plus? Well, you think it's going to come here and just go, all right, 1001. But that's not what happens. No. So it comes 1000, right? And then we do plus plus. So it knows the type of variable which lives at this location, at the location which it points to, right? And it knows how large an integer value is. In this case, it's 4 bytes. So what this plus plus does is it actually goes to the next value in memory. So this is actually going to go to 1004. Points to the next integer value in that location, right? But you need to make sure that you actually initialized it. In this case, we didn't even initialize it, and it might be garbage. So this kind of should remind you of arrays, right? And that's actually what it is. So we can just create an array, right? So like int, and then var 5, like that, right? So it takes this variable, or it takes this and allocates 5 integer slots to var. So var here is going to have 1 slot and then 2 slots here, and then it's actually going to go 3, 4, 5, right? And then we can do var and then index it of 0 equals 300, var of 1 equals 19, etc., right? And then it's going to live right there, okay? Well, something interesting is if this is our declaration, so it would actually go up here, right? Because we need to take the var, and var has to be declared at that time, right? And then it returns the address that var lives at, which in this case, because it's a array, it's going to return the first location, which is right there. Okay. So what's very interesting with pointers is you can actually index them just like an array. So p of 0 equals, and let's just say 100. Okay, so what's going to happen in this case? There's no star, but if you use these index for on a pointer, it actually just dereferences it by itself. So this actually comes here and does 100. Okay, so you can see it's a little bit confusing. So here's a pointer value. We used an array indexing, okay, and we didn't use the star. We just put the a array indexing, and we were able to change the location. So that's the two different ways that you can get the value which lives at the pointer value. You can either do p and star equals 100, or p of 0 equals 100. And now you have to remember that you can also just do this of 3. You can just index it to the third one, and it will automatically get the third index, okay, because it knows how many bytes to move over. So you can get the third index, it'll move over to the third index, and then assign 100 to that memory location. Or if you want to do it through the star, you would have to do p plus, and then we're at the 0th location right now. We do 1 to get to the next one, or 2 to get to the one after that, right? So here's plus 1, here's plus 2, and then plus 3 equals 100. So I actually made a little bit of a mistake. I said p plus 1 lives right here, or this is p plus 1. No. This is p. Remember, this is p. I'm sorry about that. P plus 1 is going to be this one. And then p plus 2 is going to be the next one. Okay, so this is the first index, or the 0th index. This is the second index. And then first, and then second, and then third. Okay, and so we want to get the third index here. So that's going to be 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3. So this is a plus 3 here, but p actually is right here, not p plus 1. P plus 1 would be right there. Okay, just wanted to clear that up. Okay, so that's the idea of pointers, and right now just try to understand them. Don't really need to really get deep into like why you would use them, because that'll come. Don't worry, you'll have plenty of opportunity. Trust me, you will have plenty of opportunities to get familiar with pointers. All you need to do is kind of clear your mind out of some of those misconceptions that you might have between maybe this is the same thing as the dereference operator. Actually, I made a mistake here. So this is p plus 3, and then we need to dereference it, okay, to get to assign the value 1000. So this is one thing. So it takes p and then increments it by, not by 3, but by 3 units. And the unit is, in this case, integer. It could be a float, it could be a char, it could be a Boolean, whatever, right? So it increments it by 3 units. So this gets incremented by 3 units. Maybe it's like 16, right, or whatever. Let's see, or whatever, like 8 or 12 or whatever it's getting incremented by, right? 3 units, and then take that value or find that address that it is and assign the 100 there. So these are the same, okay? All right, so hopefully I was able to explain this reasonably well. Again, this is like one of my first times making a tutorial video. I would really appreciate anyone giving me a comment, letting me know how I did, letting me know if this video was helpful and how I can improve. I really want to be able to get better and better at explaining topics, and it would be very great if I could get some feedback on that. So yeah, thank you guys so much, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. All right, see you.